So, our first review of the day is going to be for the film Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus. Depending on what you count in the Alien franchise, this is the seventh or the ninth film amongst the Alien movies. If you count the Alien versus Predator films, there, both of those. But this new one is directed by Fede Alvarez. Fede Alvarez, who did such movies as Evil Dead in 2013, which we got. He also did Don't Breathe there. So he's got some experience in the horror genre. It's been 7 years since we've seen the last Alien movie. The last Alien movie was Alien Covenant, which was directed by Ridley Scott himself, the person who created the whole Alien franchise with his very first film, Alien, in 1979. So, how does this one compare to the other previous Alien films? And what is happening in this particular Alien film? Well, in Alien Romulus here, you got a group of kind of young people there. They are basically the poorest of the poor. I mean, as you can imagine, living on this planet here, their life being controlled by Wayland Yutani, especially with the character played by Kaylee Spaney. Kaylee Spaney is having a great run. I mean, she was in Priscilla. She was also in that movie. I'm blanking on the
Civil
name.
War.
Civil War. There, she was also in that film just recently, which we talked about. So she's having quite a good run there. She plays a character.
She was also in Vice. She's going to be in Wake Up Dead Man, the next Knives Out movie as well.
Awesome. So she's having a good little run here. So she plays a character named Rain here, who basically is a miner working for Wayland Yutani, pretty much a life debt to this company, just spent there, just have basically, you're going to work till you die. No chance of escape, no chance of freedom here. That's your only hope.
Yeah, it's like that's cute. You think you met the quota? Guess what? We just raised the quota.
Yeah, we just kind of raised the quota to 50 more, like 1,000 more points you got to get out of here. And then with her also is a synthetic by the name of Andy, who's played by David Johnson here, who she takes care of there. And with her kind of difficult situation, living on this harsh planet, working these harsh conditions, she meets up with some other few people there, Tyler, Kay, Bjorn as well there, and Navarro, who are planning to steal equipment from Wayland Yutani on a abandoned space station there to take space pods that basically freeze you while you travel in space and travel there, because it's a long distance to this other planet they're trying to get to. So they're just basically trying to steal these pods so they can practice stasis, to stay in stasis while the ship flies them to their destination.
Yeah, Wayland Yutani, like any corporation, realized that it'd be cheaper to probably just freeze people for space travel than to provide food and resources necessary to accomplish the 9-10 year journey.
Yeah, so that's kind of their plan. They're to basically do this heist of sneaking onto the space station, stealing the equipment. But of course, nothing can ever be that simple here in the alien world, especially in space. And they do encounter very familiar alien creatures there from the franchise. So that's basically the setup here. So I'm going to pass it to you guys, get your thoughts on it. What are your guys' thoughts on Alien Romulus? And we're going to do a regular review first, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to do a spoiler review afterwards, just to let the audience know. So, Dusk, what are your thoughts on Alien Romulus here?
I thought the production and design of this movie is actually quite strong. They spent a lot of time making everything look with a similar design to the original Alien and Aliens. Clearly, they did their homework. I think some of the cinematography in this is good. There's a area of at least trying to be suspenseful. The lack of lighting in certain areas, the foreboding nature on the planet, of just being on this planet, just like that never gets sunrise or sun in any way. It's just constantly overcast and dark. And it's like living in basically in Norway or Iceland or anywhere you barely get certain amounts of light every year, except you never get any light. And I thought all these designs, the production, I like that they used models for the ship. I like that the alien is practical. They actually went back to practical alien design with somebody in the suit. That really helps. And they use CGI when appropriate. We'll get there. the appropriate use of CGI, because we will get there. But otherwise, I thought production design nailed it. My problems start coming up with, unfortunately, the premise I was all right with, but the way it was executed, the way this was executed, and the questions I started bringing up even from the very beginning, the way the mining community works, to then the heist plan. But I was willing to go along with it to a certain extent. And for the first 30 or so minutes, it was mostly carried by some of the characters, some of the acting,
Mhm.
and I was letting it be its own thing, not really connected to any other Alien movies, and I'm just considering this as a one-off, doing its own thing, try something new. And then around once they get to these
Mhm.
crowd chambers and start doing what they got to do, the movie just starts going down that cliff, and it starts going pretty quick.
Mhm.
And it's like, hey, did you like Alien? Hey, did you like Aliens? Did you like Alien 3? Did you like Alien 4? It just starts putting it all in the blender and just throwing it at you. And it doesn't really have to say anything. Of the things that it does bring up that seems unique to it, it just kind of drops. It just drops. And characters start making really, it's one of the worst things in a horror movie. From the very beginning, they start making really, really dumb decisions. And really dumb decisions, especially in the scenario and what they can do. And and then once we get to the final act, unfortunately, just what was left of the like carapace of what we were riding on, it just completely falls apart.
Okay. What say you, Nick?
So I agree with Dux wholeheartedly on the production design and the effects in this movie. This is definitely, I think, especially with keeping the prequels in mind with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, this is probably the best looking Alien film in the franchise, at least as far as its cinematography goes. How Fede Alvarez uses the lighting, or lack thereof, on the ship. How he builds tension with scenes involving the different species of aliens that we've come to see in this franchise. And that's been the strongest aspect of this film. The performances, I think, as well, especially Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson. He is probably the best character in this movie. He is the one who has the biggest arc and has the most to do. CG, it is used appropriately, even though they definitely wanted to put a bigger emphasis on practical effects. And that's something that I think has always been a strength of the Alien movies, and something that I think with Prometheus and Covenant, and especially with Alien Resurrection, that kind of got thrown to the wayside in favor of CG. Flaws with this movie for me, I do get the criticism that the movie does rely a lot on these member berries, on callbacks to, hey, remember this thing from that movie. But unlike in a movie like The Flash or with Spider-Man No Way Home, it felt like it was done with the intention of, this is a property I love, and even if it wasn't the best received, like with Alien 3 and Alien Resurrections, and even the prequel films, somebody out there still loved this, and they're still going to get something out of these callbacks, even though I think this movie does work well enough on its own just as an Alien film. If this is your first Alien movie, I think this movie still works for you.
All right. So Alien Romulus, yeah. And timeline wise, this takes place between Alien and Alien, so that's the kind of timeline wise where this takes place. And like I said, it's been 7 years since the last Alien movie. The last one was Alien Covenant, and the last time I saw this movie, I think, was just when it came out. As the last time I saw it, and thinking about it, I was like,
I rewatched all the Alien movies right after I saw Romulus for the first time, and because I'd never seen Resurrection before I watched Covenant, and I can wholeheartedly say that Covenant is no longer the worst Alien movie. It's Resurrection.
yeah. And I know a lot of people disappointed in this movie. So was I. I think especially it would seem like such a harsh tone shift from after Prometheus, which I also wasn't a big fan of Prometheus. either, but I think, people kind of looks like they're looking at this movie with the member berries, with all this kind of references, and going like, well, at least Prometheus was attempting to try to do something kind of more bold,
Mhm.
a little bit more subversive, as they say there. That was really Scott coming back to the Alien franchise
Mhm.
after such a long time, and then he did this one, and then he did Covenant. Um, and it seemed like Covenant was more just a reaction to the divisive
Mhm.
nature, the divisive, kind ofness of Prometheus, and then we got Alien Covenant.
Yeah,
Um
and in Covenant, it kind of combines the worst elements of Alien 3 with just that just overwhelming sense of nihilism, while still touching on the questions that Ridley Scott was trying to ask with Prometheus. I don't think it completely threw out what he set up in that movie.
yeah. And so with this movie, and you take a guy, Fede Alvarez, who I did like his Evil Dead film
Mhm.
from 2013. I did like Don't Breathe. That movie he did as well. So you take him and he kind of bring him to this franchise here. And I think, you guys hit it on the head. So the practical effects, a lot of the stuff, animatronics is
Mhm.
back, like with the face huggers. So that's all, made in the shop and all done. Having somebody who's actually in the suit of the xenomorph, and that gives
Mhm.
it more of a real kind of quality to it. And I think all those aspects were very good of it. Um, I think the
But-
characters in this movie here, I think they're fine. I think it gives you a
mhm.
reason from the circumstances here, especially for Kaylee Spaney of what she's kinda going through and her kinda backstory, her kind of, working class, very poor kinda background there in it, kinda gives you a reason to follow her character more and to see kinda the desperation that she's in, and a lot of the desperation a lot of these characters are in
Mhm.
that you see here. I think where it kind of veers off that is, like you said, the references, the member berry stuff there of harkening back to all the other Alien movies, especially something that a character says later on in the movie. We're going to get into that in spoiler review, and then even a character that shows up. We're also going to get into that in the spoiler review there. But is it better than Alien Covenant? I think maybe I'd have to see Alien Covenant again, but for right now, I do think this is better than Alien Covenant. I think it's maybe slightly better than Prometheus. I do understand what people talk about with Prometheus as far as like
Mhm.
being trying to be more bold and advance the Alien franchise more and do some different things with it more as far as the lore of the Alien. Where Prometheus really missed me was like I don't care about the origin of the xenomorph. Like, I don't
Mhm.
really care about where the xenomorph came from and the meaning of life and why are we here and all that other bullshit. I was like, it's
Mhm.
an alien, movie's called Alien. I didn't really need all that with it. But when it comes to doing some of the scares here, some of the action sequences here, and this movie, it's a shame that it goes down this path of member berries because it's some good stuff in here. You know what I mean? It's got a good, strong enough stuff in
Mhm.
here to be its own thing. I just wish it felt like it had enough confidence to go like, we don't need to just constantly reference the
Mhm.
past Alien movies. Um, yeah. What about you, Dusk? What's some of your
Yeah, as I said before, the premise is fine. They'd have to work around some aspects that they bring up that unfortunately they don't. And I can't really get into until we get into spoilers. But again, I was riding with it. I was like, you know what? You're trying to do something different, and I commend you for it. You're trying to do something. We're seeing a part of uh, this kind of community. That felt relatively in line with previous Alien movies within the world, and it felt like you were organically adding all this, and it made sense. People who knew that the Alien franchise was putting it in, and I was fine. I got where you were going with it. And again, I was with it for those first 30 minutes, as much some moments here and there. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Or how did that happen? You know what? Maybe they'll answer it. I'll let that go. And then, yeah, it just that 30-minute round, it just goes down that path and it takes that turn. And I'm like, no, don't take that turn. I was actually starting to like you. Just do your own thing. Do your and then they curve in and go, no, we're not going to do our own thing. We're all aboard all aboard the train to Member Berries. And you're like, all
All
right.
aboard the nostalgia train, baby.
All go this nostalgia train onto bad CGI in Canny Valley land.
Mhm.
And it's such a shame because I don't know whether or not, and the piecemeal holding it all together is the script and the actual script and story. And I wanted to really like this, and once it goes down that path, the movie really does start to fall apart. I was really hoping for more characterization from some of these characters, and I was really hoping for more useful characters when they got to the facility. But unfortunately, because of that, we're stuck with the people we have. And aside from those first two characters, Rain and Andy, and Rain to a certain lesser degree, the other characters I could care less about. Like, you just kind of shrug. You're like, yeah, we know. The movie knows. We know. So if you're not going to do that, like, they could have just been a much smaller cast and save us some time. Or at least, if you're going to do this, do something interesting with Weyland Yutani that isn't just we're boorishly evil, ha ha ha. Because even Aliens showed. No, there are people who work in Weyland Yutani it's just a company that they're shocked in horror to see what happened to Ripley, and
but for every like dozen of them, there's like a 1,000 more Paul Risers or 1,000 more.
Some variety would be nice. I've seen this. If you're gonna set that up, I would have appreciated some more nuance. At this point, the Alien franchise started as a climatic, incredible science fiction horror movie that influenced so many people afterwards. Aliens became a science action movie and influenced so many others. And Aliens 3, regardless of how you feel about the movie, one way or another, I think the analog cut, the
assembly cut.
The assembly cut does make it a far better to digest movie. Even if I still think it's a bad addition to the story on its own, taking its own. I think it still has its David Fincher, really strong, really effective movie on its own when you take it on its own. But after that, the Alien franchise is kind of, it's ever since after Alien Covenant or even before then, it's just kind of been, it's not an Alien, it's just a slasher movie now. It's got none of the weight, none of the headiness, nothing like new. It's like, let me guess, this thing's going to happen. We kind of already know. The cat's out of the bag. We kind of already know what's going to happen. We already know how this is going to go down. And if you're going to do this, we already did in mid-quill movie. They turned into a video game. It's called Alien Isolation.
Yeah. Which here's a very good video game. Alien Isolation.
It is.
It was a very good video game. There.
It drags a little bit on the later half because they wanted to like add more stuff to do. But yeah, no, it's a strong game. Really good game. Good story, good characters.
Yeah. Which kind of reminds me a little bit of the expansion of the Alien franchise there. Nick, did you get your popcorn bucket there from Alien?
I missed the popcorn bucket.
You missed.
Yeah.
No, people bought up all of them beforehand. I literally showed up and I was like, yeah, I might get one. And because I'm a fan, I usually don't buy popcorn buckets because I think they're a waste of space. But I was like, oh, I might get a cool, like, glow in the dark one, the Alien one. But no, they were all out.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, no, some guy just showed up and bought all of them.
Wow, one guy just bought all of them.
Oh, yeah, no. So this is all around. Regal, a bunch of people. And there's just a couple people just come in and they don't set a limit of how many they can buy. And so they'll buy a bunch of them and then immediately turn around and sell it on eBay.
Oh, that's damn! People reselling down.
Yeah, I wanted the glow.
People resell anything.
Bucket. Yeah, that's this one right here.
Yeah, I wanted that one. That took up less space and it looked cool.
Yeah, people reselling popcorn buckets. Damn,
yeah,
bro.
It's dumb. It's just like those Dune buckets, all that stuff.
Jeez, yeah. That's a shame there.
Regal's gotta get to a 2 per person policy. They gotta stop this stuff. People want their popcorn buckets.
Yeah. So what would be, before we move on to a spoiler review, what would be your rating there, Dusk?
For the performances that do well, for the fantastic set designs, effects, and the decent suspense, it never really scared me. It never really wasn't really, I think, its attempt. But if it was, it didn't do too great on that. all considering all the aspects that go into it, I think this is a solid stream. I think you can get a solid streaming out of this, and if this is just like another one, to me, it's another Alien movie that doesn't rise above the greatness of its setting, and that's unfortunate because for the first, for everything that's going into it, it has a lot of the ingredients that should make it go above and beyond, but it just never quite does. I don't know if it's studio interference. I don't know if it's uh, the director and as writer and his co-writer just didn't have the courage, or maybe got pushed back by the studio to like, whoa, we don't want you to do something too crazy or too interesting with the franchise. And because of that, it feels almost manufactured. And that's unfortunate. As good as it looks, it feels manufactured and everything else. And that's a shame, especially how creative he can be. He and his co-writer can be.
Yeah. So you give it a stream it. Thus, Nick, what about you?
Give it a stream.
Yeah, considering all the flaws of this movie, I do think this movie does rely a little more than I would like on those nostalgia berries that we critique a lot of modern blockbusters or sequels to popular franchises for. But for everything that this movie does right, with its production and its set design, with the creature effects, with the performances from this cast, with how Fede Alvarez builds tension in all of the set pieces, and we'll get into some of them in the spoiler section. I saw this in IMAX, and I can't deny how much fun I had watching this. And I've watched this once by myself and then once with my partner. And the entire time she was like holding my hand, and every single scare she was like squeezing it tighter and tighter. My hand was sore for like an entire 3 days after. I can't give this anything but peak.
Wow.
Especially just being able to share that with her.
Wow, peak. Okay. So
I was alone, so it doesn't. Sorry.
So I mean, the Alien franchise is in a, I don't know, let's say, difficult position because, I mean, no movie after Alien will ever be Alien, right?
No.
You can't recreate the feeling of seeing the xenomorph.
None of that.
Seeing the xenomorph for the first time.
Yeah, especially just with how much the xenomorph is in pop culture, how much it's been parodied to death. The first time you watch Alien, it's still effective when you first see it in the context of that film.
Yeah. So, you can't really replicate that feeling there ever of the first Alien movie, of a lot of the things that they do here. And it does feel like a lot of things are, trying to do that again somewhat, or some things there with it. So, and you're also dealing with Alien, which it's considered one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time, one of the greatest horror movies of all time. There, a lot of great things with that movie. With this one, Alien Romulus, I mean, it's fun. I think it's an entertaining film there, and kind of what it does. I do like what Fede Alvarez does, a lot of stuff in his direction here with the practical effects. I do like there's some good action sequences in this movie here. I think that really work. To Dust's point, the people outside of Kaylee Spaney's character and Andy, not really that interesting. The other crew of people she kind of meets up with, you kind of get a limited time, with them. It's like, they're not as interesting there. And you understand their motivation, but I think you could have done some more stuff, especially with the character of Bjorn there. If you did some stuff, because he's got a whole backstory and why he doesn't like synthetics and why he's got a prejudice against them, that you could have maybe really expanded upon more and did some good things with that. And with the path that goes down with us, we constantly have said this with the member bears of like, hey, we gotta touch on the old Alien franchise. It just feels like it reeks of, we don't feel confident enough to stand out on our own as a movie without going like, hey, do you remember Alien? Do you remember this from Alien? Do you remember that from Alien? Which is a shame, because I think there are some good things. And remembering Fede Alvarez, what he did in Evil Dead 2013. I mean, they had those moments like with the chainsaw.
Basically a part of the fun of that movie was trying to figure out which of these characters is going to be the updated Ash.
Yeah. So you kind of did have a little bit of that there. So For me, I would kind of give it a lowish, maybe middle tune in for me for Alien Ramen. So Dust gave it a stream it, Nick gave it a peak, and I kind of give it kind of a tune in, lowish tune in around that territory for it. Because
And
like,
I think
hey, if
that's
you
fair.
we say,
Mhm.
And I think that's fair.
yeah, and if you do see it in theater, I think you people probably will have fun with it. I mean, it's making good money, and this is
Mm,
also not a hugely big budgeted film. It's only $80 million. This movie
Thank
is,
God.
so
and
it's not
80
crazy.
million, and it looks better than some of these blockbusters that we're getting.
Absolutely. Again, that's the power of practical effects and utilizing your assets.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. I think so far, so it's made $124 million altogether there so far for Alien
And
Romulus.
that's even more amazing because this was originally set to go straight to Hulu, like they did
Mm.
with Prey.
This was a good call to put in theaters.
Mhm.
Yeah. So nice. So let's see how it does when it wraps all the way up there in its box office. So let's get into some spoiler talk with Alien Romulus here. So we are doing spoiler talk with this in case you haven't seen it. Maybe dip back and then come back in there with it. So some big things about with the Alien Romulus here. There is a character that does return. A very popular character from the Alien franchise that doesn't make a return here, and that is Ian Holmes's character, his synthetic
Mhm.
from it. And a lot of people have this has been a point of contention for some people because the actor has passed away. He passed away 4 years ago. Now there, Ian Holm there, and his synthetic was the name of what's his
Sir Ian
name?
Holmes, sir.
And yeah, Sir
Sir
Ian
Ian Holmes.
Holm, in who played Ash in the original film, and in this, his character's name is Rook, who's
Yes.
the synthetic science officer on board the Romulus.
Mm, yes. So he comes back, and it's the CGI kind of face there that you have of different person put a CGI face on there. Point in contention for some people. We've seen this before, like in Star Wars, where they had the character of Tarkin there, where that actor passed away. They brought him back via CGI. We also saw just recently, Nick brought up the Flash. They also had Christopher Reeves in that, where they kind of did the whole CGI thing with him. First, what's your kind of opinion on that, as far as like bringing back actors who've passed away
Mm,
in their roles here via CGI?
it's kind of a iffy situation, but according to Betty Alvarez and Ian Holmes' family, they were fine with
Okay. What say you,
Well,
Dustin?
sure, they wanted to get paid.
it.
Yeah, I mean it's a little weird when it happens for sure. You
There's
know,
literally no reason for him to be there.
Yeah, there was a way you could have made it work. You could have put the chip inside the computer on the ship and have it just be like his voice. I feel like that would have been like a better way.
like
Or
somebody doing an impersonation of it.
yeah, doing an impression of Ian Holm, I think that might have worked better. Or possibly bringing in a different actor who's also played a synthetic in this franchise to fill that role. Possibly Lance Henriksen, who I think is still alive and
Yes, he
kicking.
is.
Or this probably would have been too expensive for this movie, but maybe Michael Fassbender as like an updated David model.
Mm. Yeah.
Or just a new person altogether.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this was Lance Henriksen who played Bishop here. So he was a synthetic in Aliens. That
Man, Bishop, Rook, they're all pieces on a chessboard.
yeah, it's
Oh.
cinema, baby. And I don't know, Bishop may have made. I mean, you could have had, I guess, either
Mhm.
or. I mean, I guess if
Yeah,
you
yeah, because
wanted to.
especially in the context of Aliens, Bishop is supposed to be like this wild card considering what we know about synthetics from the first movie, and him turning out to be a good guy is a subversion of what we know from the first Alien.
Yeah. So of course we know that Ian Holm, his character, his synthetic, as we saw from Alien, is the asshole model. I guess
Mhm.
he's the huge asshole model there. So yeah, so there was kind of some controversy of like, is this right for him to come back? Did you even need him to come back? Like Dust said, I don't think you really needed him to
Mhm.
really make an appearance again. You could have brought in maybe somebody that looks similar to Ian Holm and then go like, okay, that's fine, and maybe brought him in there, and then played the role. Or you could have brought back Michael Fassbender as David, and you could have had his version of there. I don't know, like, well, I mean, his android version was so far in the past, maybe it wouldn't have
Mm.
made sense for him to kind of come back. Because Prometheus is
Mm.
how many years before Alien? It's
It's
like
like 100 some years before.
yeah. So maybe it wouldn't have meant the most sense for his character maybe to be in there.
Also,
But
he was a specialized model.
mm,
Yeah, that's
okay.
true.
So
And then secondly, if you want, Bishop specifically says he's based on. I mean, Bishop. They didn't even have the plan for him to look like anyone from Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah,
That was much
that
later.
didn't come in until
Yeah, but when
Alien 3. But even
yeah,
then, in
but he
Alien
says
3, you
specifically
don't
he's an
even.
advanced model. He's specifically an advanced model over the version that they had beforehand. So even then, they had made advancements in the 80 years since. He's like, oh yeah, that's a earlier model. Those are earlier models.
yeah. So so Nick, say you. I mean, you're kind of okay with the decision them bringing in. You know, you just felt
Mm,
kind of felt egregious, or you were like, yeah, since the family signed off, you're okay with it.
yeah, the family signed off. I'm okay with it. It's not like Rook is in every frame of this. It's only in small sections, and I think the voice performer for it is Daniel Betts. I think he does a good impression of Ian Holm, and I liked his interaction with Andy that we see in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty big character in the movie once he
Mhm.
gets introduced. I feel like it's not just like he's like a
Mm.
cameo of like popping in and like, hey, I'm here. It's like no, I mean, he's
Yeah,
pretty in
it's
there.
a waste of money.
I mean, he's in there quite a bit, quite a lot there. Um, yeah. So was that the most egregious moment to you as far as the whole member berries path train there of this movie, or is there some other stuff
The
that
most egregious one I think was in the prior to that one moment. It's in the elevator shaft when the gravity generator recycles, because that the tension of that set piece is awesome because you know it's coming. You
mm,
know there's because they're floating in zero G trying to get up this elevator shaft, and you know it's about to reset at any moment.
yeah.
And then
And then in that scene, you do have
Andy shoots one of the xenomorphs, and he does the iconic "Get away from her, you bitch."
that to
Which
me was
was
That
way more.
awful.
That was pretty terrible.
that was that was the one member berry moment. I was like, okay, this was just unnecessary.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Well,
line
we'll
should never be
You near
touched.
you lost a lot of goodwill from me.
yeah. I thought that moment was pretty awful. I was like, there's no point for him to say it.
Mhm,
It's not like he got to, in his so with the character is synthetic with the Andy character, when you first
mhm,
see him, he's a damaged model. Like something happened with
mhm.
his processor, his system
Which
where
Weyland-Yutani just allows running around.
no, they said that they threw him
Yeah,
away.
they found him, and they said
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
that
didn't.
Rain's father
Yeah,
found him in the garbage.
Yeah. So I
yeah.
guess
They hand wave that around. They hand wave that pretty quick. It's like, hey, he found him damaged, and he fixed him up. I'm like,
yeah.
he can
So
still do stuff though.
yeah, because a part of why they need him is so he can get access to the space
Hmm.
station. So because he's a synthetic
Yeah,
and Whaley Time
yeah.
property, so he can get to areas of the ship and where they can access it. So that's part of why they need him. So yeah, he's a synthetic that's
Mhm,
damaged. So he kind of, when you first see him, has kind of almost the ability of kind of like a child almost there that she kind of is
mhm.
raising almost in the sense Rain is
Yeah,
there. And the
yeah,
reason,
they yeah,
oh yeah,
he's kind of infantilized. I think Johnson kind of plays it like David is on the spectrum. I thought that was that was certainly a choice, but it's one that makes his later transformation stand out that much more when he gets Rook's module and becomes like that perfect company man for Wayland Utani.
yeah. So he gets an update there. Yeah, he gets a little bit of an update from the Rook character there, and yeah, he's able to kind of he gets a nice posh British accent. Even that
Mhm.
whole
Yep,
accent change.
you can tell how evil somebody is in the Alien franchise by how posh their British accent is.
Uh, oh, and he was also in another movie called Ray Lane. I heard that was very
Oh,
great.
Rye Lane.
Rye
I've heard
Lane.
so many good things about that,
I've heard
and I need
amazing
to
things.
check that out.
It's on Hulu. I've heard great things. It makes me want to go check it out there. But he was an actor in that. So did you all like what he did with the synthetic? I mean, we've seen a lot of great performances from actors as synthetics. Like you mentioned, Michael
Mhm,
Fassbender as David, Ian Holm as
mhm.
Rook, and when he was in the first Alien movie. Yeah, what's your kind of guys' opinion of the way that he plays this synthetic? Is it memorable? Is it kind of also in the league of great actors playing synthetics there?
Yeah, it's in that camp of I'd say there's an argument for Andy being one of the best characters introduced in the Alien franchise. Just with how much depth his character is given, especially with the circumstances that he is the reason that he is convinced Rain to allow him to help on this mission,
Mhm.
on this heist.
Yeah. What say you, Dust?
I think he's a good character, or at least he's the best in this bunch. I think he does an admirable job. I think the actor honestly lifts up a role far more than what was written for him. I think so. If any of the praise, it goes to the actor himself rather than the dialogue or script.
Mm. Okay.
He carries it, and he is one of the better parts of this movie, bar none. They'll have no arguments for me on that. But best in the entire franchise? No, I don't believe so.
Okay. So yeah, you kind of have that kind of going on. So he does that iconic line and "Get away from me, you bitch." There, I'll pull it up too, just so people can remember that line from Aliens. There, but yeah, I didn't understand the point of him saying that. There's no real reason. There's nothing that says suggesting his processing that he curses. I mean, his whole thing is like he does dad jokes. I mean, you know what I mean? That's what he does. He makes terrible dad jokes because her dad programmed him and then I guess installed him with a bunch of dad jokes and things like that. And so this is the scene, iconic scene from Aliens, by the way. By the way, do you guys prefer Aliens or Alien?
I think I like the more horror vibes that Ridley Scott has in the first Alien.
What about you, Des?
It depends on my mood.
Mm.
I think they're both complete different genres in the sci-fi horror genre. Second one's far more action focused and more of a thriller than horror, but the first one is far more sci-fi horror.
Yeah, the first one is essentially a slasher movie in space.
Right.
Take a look at this line right
here.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Also, the intensity there, the way she did it there, that was also,
and it's all building up from the entire movie. It's all building up to that moment.
Yeah, because Ripley, the entire run of Alien, she is like, I am not fucking with these xenomorphs no more. I will get you there, but after that, you Space Marines are on your own.
So that I thought was really terrible there. What they did with that. But there's some, like I said, the cool moments of the movies that from Fede Alvarez, zero gravity moments, like Nick mentioned, in the elevator, and even a little bit before that, what they do with the whole acid, where she shoots the xenomorphs because they bleed acid, and the acid is all floating, and they have to maneuver around the acid.
Yeah,
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it's something that it's finally brought back in a sensible way in this franchise, because I feel like, especially with Aliens, they kind of forget about the acid blood. And, you know, a lot of that movie doesn't take place inside the spaceship. And you're thinking, wait, you shoot these things, isn't that acid just going to eat through the hull of their ship and kill everybody?
Yeah, which they do. Yeah, they do bring that up here. And you even see, so a lot of the, also when the synthetic Andy, when he gets the new chip inside his brain from Rook, the other synthetic that was the science officer on the Romulus, his thing was like, again, being a company man and advancing with the company, the interest of the company. And that is like, apparently on this ship, Rook, the science officer, was creating this new method of trying to evolve humans, of using the xenomorph DNA to advance human evolution, basically.
Which, you know, deep inside the face huggers they experimented on, they found the raw version of the black goo from Prometheus.
Yeah. So yeah, that ties back into what happened with Prometheus there, a lot of that about the origin of life and all kind of what happened there. I haven't rewatched Prometheus in a long time, so I forgot a lot of shit about it. I remember there were these buff ass Vin Diesel looking dudes, and they were going around doing something, and
the engineers they use the black goo to, you know, destroy themselves to create humans.
Yeah,
it's basically like just a very potent mutagen.
Yeah. It's basically it's QAnon evolution there that they're doing with Prometheus Origins.
This is what adrenochrome really does to you.
Yeah. So you have that. So that's what they. So when he does that, it's like he's gonna go there. He's gonna take these vials of this black goo stuff there because it's like humans. We're too weak. We're too soft.
Mhm.
You know, we can't survive. You know, our bodies have not yet evolved for space
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, and the little bit you get on the colony that the movie opens on, you see just how shitty it is. It's
Yeah.
like it's like very dilapidated. You know, there's barely any food. You hear like, every cycle there's like new diseases that keep popping up.
So with this technology that he created, humans are going to be able to advance and become stronger, just like a xenomorph. Because xenomorphs don't even have to eat, they don't even have to sleep. They just
a perfect organism.
they just kill. They just kill and live, and that's all their whole purpose there, and reproduce, and that's it. They're the perfect organism that can survive the harshest of conditions. They're just living. So yeah, but as we see some of with the trials and kind of experiments that were happening, it's like, well, it kind of still fucks up. I mean, it causes people to turn into absolute creatures, and we see that. So Elizabeth Merced, who's in this, who people might know, she was Dora the Explorer. She was also in Transformers as well. There, I think she's also going to be. Isn't she going to be Hawk Girl?
She's a Hawk Girl in Superman.
Yeah, she's that as well. So she's
I
pregnant.
just don't.
Oh, we say this.
I just don't see that.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be Hawk Girl there. But she's pregnant, and it turns out. So the director confirmed this. She's pregnant with her cousin's baby. So Bjorn in the movie is her cousin, and also the guy that got her pregnant there, because we don't know the identity there. But okay, you got I guess incest made its way back. I guess you know what I mean. I guess humanity he went full circle. You know, we did a lot of incest. Incest was gross. Then they like, oh no, let's go back into that. Apparently, it was all right there. So you kind of got that going on.
This future society. They watched a lot of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Yeah, maybe they think that's the historical text. Game of Thrones. So she gets hurt really badly on the ship there. The xenomorph attacks her. She's bleeding out pretty bad. She decides to inject one of the vials into herself. And of course, I mean, as soon as the whole thing was introduced, you know where that's going to go.
Oh,
you know that.
Yeah.
As soon as that, I was like,
there's like a moment in the first act where I just can't wait to get to this new planet and raise my baby in the sunlight. And it's like, oh, you're going to fucking die.
Absolutely. I mean, you just know where that's kind of going already. For some people, that's where it lost them. For some people, that whole thing where she got injected and then this egg xenomorph baby.
Oh, this absolute nightmare fuel that is the offspring.
Yeah. What did you guys think about that? Did that lose you a little bit? Did you find that kind of ridiculous? I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. I thought
that was Fede Alvarez doing the ending of Alien Resurrection right. Because it has because they create a very similar creature at the ending of that movie, but by that point you're already just completely over it. You're just waiting for the credits to roll. But here they made that thing fucking horrifying.
Yeah. And that's played by also a real life. That's played by a real life person.
Yeah, a Romanian basketball player named Robert Bobrovsky.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll pull up a photo of him right here. Let's see here. And so this is the actor here who played the alien here. And I don't know what are they calling that version of the Xenomorph? What are they calling it?
He's been called the Offspring.
Oh, the Offspring. Okay.
Yeah, he's that's what he's credited as.
Okay.
And just like with all of Fede Alvarez's movies, I just knew that once we get to the third act, there's going to be some really weird, freaky shit.
Yeah, and he's 7 foot.
Yeah, this was like a cool thing. They let an absolute freak direct this movie, and I'm with it.
Yeah. What did you think about that scene, Dustin?
Creature design, great. Reason for the creature to exist, stupid.
Why was it stupid?
And she stabs herself, and you're like, what this is going to do. Why are you even
in her mind,
all
she doesn't.
this? I mean, she did. You're gonna stick black goo in you after all this
Well,
crap?
I mean, she's bleeding bad. You know,
She fell from a height that should have killed the baby anyways. Come on, the amount of damage she already took, that baby's dead in real life. It's only in
uh,
magic movie land where it's like, no, I guess the baby might have a chance. Look, your baby's dead. All right, you're inoculating a corpse. Come on.
and I think, I mean, and it was being pitched as like, because to her and to them, they think like it's some miracle cure that can,
Yeah, they
you know,
think, yeah, this is the next step in evolution. And they showed it. It's like the footage of this rabbit that gets crushed and
Yeah,
then
and
is
then they
healed
didn't
by
show
the
the whole
goo.
footage. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
still wouldn't stick
yeah.
myself with goo I don't know about.
Yeah,
All right.
Rook omitted that part of it.
I guess the parents need to instruct them better on don't put goo you don't know of in your body.
yeah,
Or
well,
cousin goo. Heyo.
Yeah, whatever.
I
That's
mean,
just one of those other things. I was just like, I was rolling my eyes.
yeah. I mean, if she was having sex with a family, I mean, that probably baby would have came out like that anyway already.
That's why that shit looked so fucked up.
Yeah. I don't think that was so much the black goo, it was just so much of the same DNA there. So I thought that moment was kind of cool. I mean, I knew it was coming of what was going to happen, and obviously when that moment did happen, and yeah, I think the creature looked fucking scary. I think it looked good. You know, obviously, I don't think it looks as cool when you first see the very first xenomorph for the first time, but I think it, you know, what they do there and the effects wise there look really. I think it was really well done there. The creature. And the look of it. It's called the offspring, as it's called there. So
yeah, and when you first see it, it's kind of in silhouette. It's just like chilling out in the halls of this ship, and yeah, that shit is nightmare fuel.
yeah, because you see it on all fours at first, and then standing up, and then it's like, ugh. It's like,
Yeah, in the theater when I first saw it, I just yelled out, "What the fuck!"
I mean, I think it's effective. Yeah, what they do with the creature there. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we head out? Move on.
No, that pretty much covered it. I liked that this movie is very much taking a stance of kind of a similar stance to a franchise like Child's Play, where every movie in that franchise matters. It's canon, no matter how well or poorly received it was. I like that they are not just completely erasing Prometheus and Covenant because they weren't as well received as the other films.
Okay. Also, Kaylee Spaney. I mean, she does a good job of just not being another Ripley. I don't think she's just Ripley again. Some of the knowledge that she knows seems a little like, how would you exactly know that given your you know, where you're from and what you've done for basically most of your life? Because she comes in with a lot of solutions of like, well, if we do this here, then this should work, right? And
Yeah,
then
just Josh, stop thinking. Just stop thinking. The movie did a long time ago. Just stop thinking.
What I mean, but yeah, so I thought she was good though. I thought Kaylee Spaney was still good. So, and that any last thing from you there, Dust?
Not really. It's just another one in the dust.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're gonna do with this. I mean, if this proves to be a success, then they'll probably make a sequel to it. Maybe do another. We'll see another Alien movie. There is the Alien TV show that is going to be coming.
Yeah, Alien Earth, which is being showrun by Noah Hawley, who also ran Fargo and Legion.
Yeah. So I love both those shows a lot. So, and that is set before that. So that's set way before Alien, Prometheus. That's going to be in 2092, I think is the year it's set in. So it's going to be a prequel there. So that's what it's set in. So Alien, yeah, I'm excited to see that. Like I said, Noah Hawley, great track record. I think that, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he does what he does with the Alien franchise there. So yeah, Dust gave it a stream it. Nick gave it a peek. I gave it kind of a lowish tune in there for Alien Romulus there. In theaters now. You can check it out.